Sagittarius, hi, and welcome to July 2020. Yes, this is a month that is so powerful and kind of intense, I'll be totally honest, because it's about honesty, it's about integrity, it's about how we want to see the rest of 2020 play out and how we're going to show up to that in our personal lives, in the world as it is now, and in the not knowing, and also in the deep knowing. So just a few themes to keep in mind here. This is an interesting month for you all, depending on how energy works here. I mean, a lot of you are going to be feeling this sense of transformation. Cancer's relationship to Sagittarius is that this is a transformational house for you. This is a transformational sign for you. This is 8th house, all about death and rebirth. So this is a point in the year when you often find that you are going through a metamorphosis, like a really deep one, and just checking in with yourself, who you're going to be, who you want to be. Not only that, but we have Saturn moving back to Capricorn on July 1st, back to your neighboring sign, back to this sign that we've been learning hard lessons about authoritarianism and control and the pain that comes from that, right? So we're having to get really honest, like what do we want to keep from that time of learning? And for you all, it's also going to be a review about, your worthiness. Do you feel worthy? We also have a full moon and partial lunar eclipse in Capricorn, highlighting again, do you feel worthy of how you're transforming, of who you're becoming? We have Chiron going retrograde in Aries on July 11th. That has everything to do with your heart chakra. Do you feel worthy? Do you feel ready? We have Mercury going direct in your 8th house of Cancer on July 12th. We have a new moon in Cancer on July 20th. And then we move into Leo season, where we get to zoom out and look at the big picture again. Leo season is very supportive of you all and your creative juices. I'm a Leo and I love you all so much. You are my family, that is for sure. But there's this huge theme, my Sagittarians. We come back to this a lot. Judgment. Right, let's start off with some light healing work, right? Let's just go ahead and dive right in. We talk about this a lot, but valuing, the less fun, bubbly side of yourself, valuing the side of yourself that's maybe a little serious, or feels a little heavy, or feels a little uncertain, or feels a little bit like you don't know how to be in this world, that you don't know how to be your Sagittarian self, maybe, or maybe feeling like in order to be yourself and to have value, you have to. 4 of Swords, deep integration going on here, my friends. In order to value yourself, maybe you feel like you have to, Ace of Wands and 2 of Swords, always be the bright, crystal clear point of light, no matter what. And that is your one value, that you can kind of hold it together and be playful and be in action and do all of that, right? We've talked about this many times. Often we're born into an energy that's very strong in us. Our lifetime we spend learning how to not just be that thing, but to find greater balance. So this is a lesson that comes up time and time again. But you can use your mutable creativity to use this time to really enjoy maybe some of the deeper tower. Yes. I consider Sages a very revolutionary people, right? You're mutable fire, which means that you're going to burn moving forward. You're going to burn moving via that visionary understanding. And what's really interesting right now with that south node of the moon moving through your sign, we are going through a huge worldview shift, right? And that happens on an intimate personal level as well as a collective level, right? And 5 of Wands. All right, and let's pull one more. King of Pentacles. Very interesting combo of energy. There is like everything going on here, Sagittarius. You're here, there, and everywhere. So I'm going to want you to take a deep breath and not let it overwhelm you this month, right? Because you may feel pulled in a lot of different directions. Oh, I should be doing my internal healing. Oh, I should be revolutionizing this. Oh, I should be bright, crisp, and clear here, but also I should feel kind of sad and heavy here. And how do I be all these things? And I don't want to be superficial, but I also want to be playful. Don't worry. I got you. We're going to talk through this. But yes, I'm not surprised the Tower is showing up. That was what I was trying to say before. Because you're revolutionary spirited. And South Node in Sagittarius means we are shifting our collective worldview. We are shifting our philosophy about how we have to do things. So this is just a powerful time. And I think we're still getting used to South Node in Sagittarius. It's a completely different ball game. And and North Node of Gemini too. So there's some reflection going on here, my friends. Judgment and Four of Swords. I actually really love this combo. This is very tapped into. This isn't about your performer. This isn't about when you feel sparkly and bright and clear and crisp and the leader of the pack and all of that, right? That's a beautiful part of you. I love that part of you. No mistake. But this is another really precious part of you, which is a very feeling, deep, conscientious, self-reflective part of you that really goes and asks hard questions of yourself, right? This is about self-forgiveness, though, as well. And integrating a lot. We're in the post-shadow phase of Venus retrograde. We are closing out Mercury retrograde in Cancer. These energies are, there's a lot of incorporation that goes on when we do some retrograde work that we take with us moving forward. And it's important to pause and feel completely. It's important to feel that. Now, judgment is tied to Pluto, is tied to transformation. This is a very Plutonian energy in many ways because it's about the past kind of coming up out of the ground, and we look at it and we release it, right? We find grace. We find grace in ourselves. We find grace in where we maybe messed up or where we feel like we want to change. We don't let it hold us to how we're going to act as we move forward, right? We choose to move forward. So this is a really beautiful time to maybe feel some deep feelings. Not every day, all day, all the time, but just you're tapping into this, and it's important. And that's that 8th house energy. That's that transformational energy. It's okay to feel those deep things, right? It doesn't preclude you from having a very vibrant and playful and curious and a month where you're building and connecting and seeing and moving through the world. I think these things go very well together. I've been experimenting with feeling deep, powerful emotions pretty much every day, and also having other parts of the day that are all about creative juiciness and excitement. And that's what's funny. This Ace of Wands is right here in the middle of these 2 swords cards, 4 of Swords and 2 of Swords. So there's something new beginning here, right? There's a new sprig of creative juice awakening in you. And especially when we get to Leo season, you're going to be feeling that energy return to you, I think, at much higher levels. If your vibrancy has been feeling a little low recently, and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, a little bit like you can't quite be in your bright spark mode all the time, that's fine. You may find that that's starting to come back up to the surface as this month moves along. But there is this kind of deep questioning going on around this Ace of Wands, and isn't that the way, right? When we're willing to sit quietly and listen and hear and maybe not know, maybe not have a conclusion, maybe not be clear all the time, we get clear, right? We get really good information. If you're often getting these cards, right, it's not that you actually don't know. You probably do know what it is that this Ace is all about, what it is that this Tower card is all about, right? These liberating cards. You probably do know. You probably do know what you don't want to be imprisoned in anymore. You probably do know what you want to create next. You probably do know how you've already changed and how you can't go back to the way that you've been in other years. You probably already do know what these last 6 months have done to you and how they have transformed you and how you're going to be moving forward in the coming months. You probably know all of that. It's just a question of if you really want to hear it or not, right? And it's important for us to take that time to hear it, to list down those things that we already know, but we don't really want to know we know. because we haven't felt ready, or maybe if we write them down, it's scary, or maybe we're not allowed to want them. Now, yes, there's a bit of this wild energy going on, right? I'm not gonna lie. Tower and Five of Wands, my friends, that is some fiery energy. And being a fellow fire sign and a Sag rising, hey, I'm with you. I get this energy, right? Yeah. What it makes me think of, though, and it's interesting because your reading is really lining up with something that's happening with our return to Saturn in Capricorn, with our full moon Capricorn eclipse closeout of those eclipses in Capricorn. How that questioning of that authoritarianism, of that pain that comes from that, right, is not acceptable anymore. Now, this comes from within us, right? And it also comes from without. And how worth it is to ask those questions and to want to see some things fall, right? To see some things stricken away. So there is a wildness to this energy, yes. But I actually think it suits Sagittarians quite well, because this is not about holding yourself back, right? It's not about self-editing or feeling like you have to be something different. It's about liberation. It's about honesty and integrity. And yeah, you're showing up to the plate of something, my friends, and I'm not about to tell you you're all going to experience this differently. Some of you may be having hard conversations with people you love in your life. Some of you may be getting out there and being really active in the world. Some of you may be creating revolution from within, right? Healing generational pain, feeling deep feelings, releasing yourself from feeling you have to repeat the same cycle, releasing yourself from your inner dictator. There's a lot of ways this can happen. Feeling revolutionary in the art you create, or the messages you send, or the way that you're building your life. These cards can apply to so much. And yes, they're not sitting still. They're not sitting in the background. That is for sure. You also have King of Pentacles. Now you might have a really great earthy energy influencing you at this time that's helping you feel grounded and safe and nurtured. That's totally possible for some of you. I'm sure that's the case. This is also, this is about Taurus energy. Uranus is in Taurus right now. This is about investments. This is about the long game, right? Not just the game that we're going to play in July here, but what we want to see happen over the next 6 months until the next solstice, when Jupiter and Saturn join up, meet us in Aquarius at 0 degrees, and we start off on some really different paths. We're going to be planting some very intentional seeds at this time. And Sag, for some reason, I just get this really strong sense that your creative fire mutability is important in this process. I'm getting shivers. And, like I said, that can show up in so many different ways. It's not always necessarily... not everybody is marching in the streets, right? Some people are doing legislative work. Some people are doing administrative work that's really important. Some people are creating art that is very healing. Some people are having deep conversations with their friends and families. We all heal and help and grow this world in our unique ways. And like I said at the beginning of this talk, it's not always about your bright, shining light. It's not always about you having to be the cheerleader. It could also be about you accessing different parts of yourself and letting yourself be fully whole in this process. And yes, there's a lot of energy going on here. And many of you may look at things like Judgment and Tower and Five of Wands and say, Sarah, how can you say that this is going to be a good month? And I'm really not BSing you here. Life, I don't know where we got this idea that life is its best when we aren't feeling fully, or when we just know everything that's going to happen and we're just sitting there on kind of like a cloud of like vague feeling. Because as many of you who've been on this planet for a few years will have figured out, that doesn't really exist. We know that we are living when we're really engaged, when we don't know every answer, when we're feeling a little confused, when new questions pop up, when we're transforming, when we're showing up to the hard conversations. That's life, right? It can also be joyful and creative and juicy and good. And I see that with Ace of Wands. I see that with Four of Swords, which is very restful. I see that with King of Pentacles, which is very investing. But it's okay. It's like the goal is, yes, to think soothing, wonderful, warm thoughts for ourselves and for others, and to be in empathy and to be in deep feeling, 100%. We don't need to be self-torturing with calamitous thoughts all the time. And, Two of Swords is the not knowing. You're allowed to not know and you're allowed to transform. We can definitely have that, and we can also feel like we are getting challenged to master new skills, we are getting challenged to learn new things, and we are getting challenged to step into new roles. It's always happening all together at the same time. And if you want extra support on this, I would love to see you over on my Patreon. Thank you to those of you who are already with me. It is such a beautiful community. It means so much to me. It lights my heart up every single day. We get into the deep discussions about some of these big transits. We're going to be talking about Saturn. We're going to be talking about Chiron. We're going to be talking about all these. And plus we do a weekly check-in. And we do extra activations for all the moons. It's a really great resource. It's a really great way to help me and to help you. So I'd love to see you over there. You can also find me on Instagram and on my website at Sarah Verba. So I'll leave all those links below. And you can, of course, find PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry on her website, on her Etsy shop. All of the info's in the description box. I would love it if you subscribed and liked this video so that I can keep doing this work and I can keep showing up to this and I can be a presence here because it means so much to me. I love you all so much. This is a powerful month. I'm really excited and invigorated to see what Sagittarians are bringing to the table and how this is going to light you up, because I feel really good about this energy. So there you have it. I will see you all very soon for our next Moon Magic, and for the August readings, have a beautiful July, my friends.